We stand in solidarity, in unprecedented unity. Our union and our sister unions and the unions around the world are standing by us, as well as other labor unions, because at some point the jig is up. You cannot keep being dwindled and marginalized and disrespected and dishonored.
After the Writers Guild of America decided to go on strike back in May, the Screen Actors Guild has decided to join their colleagues on the picket line. You just heard from the president of the Screen Actors Guild there, that's Fran Drescher. It is the first time since 1960 that both guilds have gone on strike at the same time. Both, of course, are looking for better pay and dealing with the new way of television. And, of course, that means the streaming era. A lot of famous celebrities on board with the fight. Meryl Streep and Jennifer Lawrence among the big faces fighting against the Hollywood studios on this one. With more on this, let's go to Kelly Lawler, TV critic and writer for USA Today. Kelly, welcome to the program.
Hi, thank you for having me.
First things first, you should be spending your days watching all of the TV, binging all of the TV, so we don't have to watch the bad stuff. How frustrating is it for you that all of that's gone by the wayside here? You got to cover a strike.
I don't find that frustrating. I think my job is to cover what's coming on TV, but also the entertainment industry. And this is a very serious matter for the people who make those shows. And there are human faces behind every TV show that we watch, people trying to feed their families and make a living. And I think it's important to hear from them and make sure that they get to create more art in the future. I want to, protect art for the next decade and longer.
So how nasty is this battle getting?
Well, we heard from Fran Drescher when she was announcing the strike. She was very passionate, very fired up, and very emotional about what she had been hearing from the AMPTP, which is the organization that bargains on behalf of the major Hollywood studios. She was angry at their proposals. I think that really indicates the tenor of the discussions. SAG-AFTRA did not go on strike very often. It is not like, a willy-nilly decision on their part. They had to be very, worried about their future and very, stuck with the negotiating points with the AMPTP.
So let's talk about what this battle is all over here and the demands on both sides here. Well, why don't you give us your perspective? Why don't you just paint the picture for listeners over what this battle is all about?
The battle is primarily about the way that the entertainment industry has changed over the past decade or so, primarily with the introduction of streaming services, and how it might change in the future, primarily with artificial intelligence. So actors would like to be paid commensurate with the performance of the shows and movies that they perform in. So they, if they have the biggest show on Netflix, they would like their paycheck to reflect that. Right now, streaming services don't give out information even to creators and actors about how well their shows perform. So that's a big sticking point. They also want regulated use of AI. One thing we heard from Chief Negotiator Duncan Crabtree Ireland is that he said that the studios want to be able to scan background actors, which are extras, after one day's work and then use their image in perpetuity. The AMPTP has said that proposal was actually about using the background actor's image for the duration of the project that they were hired for. Mm-hmm. Either way, that's less work for that background actor. And so they're worried about losing their spot in this industry in the future because of changing technology.
From what you hear from people on both sides in your discussions, just how, what are you expecting a lengthy strike here based on your discussions with people in the industry?
Yes. The Writers Guild of America has been on strike as well since May 2nd. And the AMPTP has not sat down with them since they went on strike. That's been 10 weeks without any further negotiations. When Fran Drescher spoke with my colleague last week, she told him that they were ready for a long strike, that they talked about what would happen if this went on for 6 months or more. So I really expect them to dig in their heels.
I saw a quote attributed to one executive saying, we want people to, be unable to pay their rent and be unable to pay their mortgages, right, in order to get some movement here. Is this going to come down to which side is going to have to blink first because of money issues?
Well, I will say that quote was refuted by the AMPTP, but it is about money and it's about perseverance. Writers and actors are not the only ones who have bills coming due. Corporations are accountable to Wall Street, and they're accountable quarterly. So as the effects of the strike trickle down and the pipeline of new shows and movies begins to dry up, investors will want answers from their executives. And so, yes, working people have rent and their mortgages and grocery bills, but corporations are not endless fountains of money. They also are accountable to people.
We're with Kelly Lawler from USA Today, the TV critic at USA Today, talking about the strike that's happening in Hollywood. Kelly, Hollywood North in Toronto, I've got friends that work in that industry. They've been saying things have been very quiet here. You mentioned just now, that at a certain point, there's no longer stuff that's coming out. What about that aspect? For the TV movie viewer, at what point do we start to see, nothing's coming out?
Well, there's a very long lead time from production to us actually seeing movies and TV shows, especially on streaming services. The shortest lead time is in things like American late night television. Those have all been shut down completely since the writer's strike, Jimmy Kimmel, Jimmy Fallon, and then American broadcast shows have also been paused, and so the fall schedules here are full of reality television and international shows. But stuff on Netflix has, a few more months before things start to dry up. But we're really going to see the number of new shows and movies on streaming services really dwindle down in October and November. And the streamers are likely to spread out the completed projects that they have, but they only have so many completed projects that are scripted, and eventually they'll have to return to reality television and foreign television, just like the broadcast networks.
Kelly, is there anything we can take away from previous disputes in Hollywood that could maybe guide us as to what's going to happen this time around?
The last time the WGA and SAG were on strike at the same time was in 1960. And just for some perspective, Ronald Reagan was the president of SAG at that time, wow. And Dwight Eisenhower was the president of the United States. That was a really big deal, and that helped establish a lot of sort of the backbones of the entertainment industry. That's how actors were able to get pension plans and health plans. So, it's a really powerful statement to have two unions in one industry on strike at the same time. I think that we're looking at a lot of change, in whatever outcome that we have right now.
Kelly, we're going to have to leave it there. Real pleasure talking to you, and thank you for taking the time for our audience this morning. I appreciate it.
Have a good one.
Kelly Lawler is the fantastic TV critic over at USA Today.